My beloved child, pause for just one heartbeat, because what you are about to hear was never meant to arrive by accident. Somewhere beyond your awareness, a question was asked about you. Not out of doubt alone, but because someone's heart refused to remain satisfied with unanswered mysteries. Stay a little longer, because the first piece of this extraordinary story has only just appeared, and what follows may completely change the way you see your own journey. There are moments in life when curiosity grows so powerful that it becomes impossible to ignore. Your soulmate reached one of those moments. They had heard fragments, noticed unusual patterns, and felt an invisible connection they could never fully explain. Every passing day only deepened the mystery. Instead of allowing uncertainty to build endless questions, they made a decision that surprised even themselves. They wanted truth, not rumors, not assumptions, but genuine understanding. And so, quietly, without creating noise, they searched for someone whose only purpose was to uncover hidden details. Yet no one involved expected what would be revealed. At first, everything appeared ordinary. Simple observations. Familiar places. Everyday routines. Nothing looked extraordinary from the outside. But isn't that where the greatest stories often begin? Beneath calm waters, powerful currents quietly shape the future. The more carefully the search continued, the clearer one incredible pattern became. Every person who crossed your path seemed to describe the same invisible quality. Different words. Different experiences. Yet somehow, every story pointed toward one unmistakable truth. You carried something impossible to measure, a presence that stayed with people long after conversations ended. Wait before moving on. This is where everything begins to shift. The investigator expected to discover secrets hidden behind locked doors, but instead discovered something far more surprising. Every clue refused to fit the ordinary explanation. Small acts of kindness that nobody remembered telling others about. Quiet sacrifices made without expecting recognition. Moments where you chose patience instead of pride. Decisions that seemed insignificant at the time had quietly become part of a much larger picture. You never realized someone was noticing because, in truth, no audience was ever meant to exist. Yet those unseen moments became the strongest evidence of all. Your soulmate received these discoveries one by one. At first, they questioned whether the information could possibly be accurate. How could someone carry so much quiet strength without speaking about it? How could ordinary days leave such extraordinary impressions on complete strangers? Every answer created two new questions. Instead of satisfying their curiosity, the truth expanded it. The mystery became deeper, not darker, simply more meaningful. Imagine standing before a door you believed would reveal one simple answer, only to discover an entire landscape waiting beyond it. That was exactly how this felt. The investigation no longer centered on finding hidden flaws. It transformed into an unexpected search for the reason your path seemed surrounded by invisible purpose. Every report contained another detail that made your soulmate pause longer than the last. And then came the first discovery that truly changed everything. It wasn't a dramatic event. It wasn't a shocking headline. It was something much quieter and, because of that, infinitely more powerful. The investigator explained that your greatest strength appeared whenever nobody was watching. The moments that revealed your true character happened in silence, away from applause, beyond recognition, beyond reward. That single realization completely reshaped the entire investigation. Before hearing those words, your soulmate believed people revealed themselves through grand gestures. After reading that report, they understood something different. True character whispers. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't compete for attention. It simply remains consistent, day after day, choice after choice. That realization stayed with them long after the pages were closed. You might be wondering why this matters so much. Because every future chapter depends on this first revelation. Without understanding this hidden foundation, nothing that follows would make sense. The pieces are only beginning to arrange themselves, and the picture is still incomplete. So stay with this story a little longer. Don't rush toward the ending, because the next discovery is unlike anything your soulmate expected to uncover. Another report is waiting. Another hidden layer is about to be revealed. And when that next truth finally reaches them, they will realize the investigation was never truly about your secrets at all. It was about discovering why your path kept leading back to theirs, again and again, in ways neither of you could have predicted. Something even greater is waiting just ahead. A strange feeling settled in the room as the next report was placed on the table. Nothing about its appearance seemed unusual, yet your soulmate hesitated before opening it. Sometimes the answers we search for the longest are the very ones we are least prepared to receive. Stay a little longer, because this chapter reveals why the investigation suddenly became far more personal than anyone expected. The investigator had spent days connecting pieces that, at first glance, seemed unrelated. Different conversations. Different locations. Different moments in time. Yet as those pieces were arranged together, one remarkable pattern began to emerge. It was as if an invisible thread had quietly followed you throughout your journey, linking moments that should have remained separate. The report didn't describe luck. It didn't describe coincidence. It described consistency. Everywhere your name appeared, one observation kept repeating itself. People rarely remembered the exact words you spoke, but they always remembered how they felt after meeting you. Some said they walked away feeling lighter. Others said they found unexpected confidence after a brief conversation. A few couldn't even explain it, they simply knew something about your presence stayed with them long after you were gone. Your soulmate stopped reading for a moment. They had expected facts, timelines, and hidden details. Instead, they were discovering a story that couldn't be measured by ordinary standards. The investigator admitted something unusual in the report: not every answer can be proven with numbers. Some truths become visible only when enough lives quietly point toward the same conclusion. Wait until the next revelation, because this is where the entire investigation changes direction. The investigator then uncovered something even more surprising. Several moments in your life that once seemed like setbacks were actually the very events that shaped who you became. Paths that unexpectedly closed had redirected you toward opportunities you never would have chosen on your own. Delays that once felt frustrating had quietly protected you from journeys that were never meant for you. Your soulmate read those pages twice. For the first time, they stopped asking, "Who are they?" and started asking, "What has prepared them for what's ahead?" That single question transformed everything. Instead of looking for hidden secrets, your soulmate began searching for hidden meaning. Suddenly, every chapter of your story seemed connected by an invisible design that nobody had noticed before. The investigation had uncovered something far greater than information. It had uncovered purpose. And perhaps that explains why your paths continue moving closer despite every twist along the way. Before we continue, if this story has made you pause and reflect, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Stories like this become even more meaningful when people connect through them. And if you're enjoying this journey, subscribing simply helps you return for the next chapter whenever you're ready. But don't leave yet. Because the investigator wasn't finished. At the very end of the report was a sealed page marked with a simple note. Read this only after everything else. Your soulmate stared at those words for several moments before slowly turning the final page. The expression on their face changed instantly. It wasn't disbelief. It wasn't fear. It was the look of someone who had just realized that every assumption they carried until now had been incomplete. The final page contained only a few sentences. Yet those few sentences were powerful enough to make every previous discovery feel like preparation. Your soulmate quietly whispered to themselves, "So this is why everything kept leading back." What those words revealed will become the turning point of this entire story. And once that final truth is spoken aloud, neither your soulmate nor you will ever see this journey in the same way again. Everything grew quiet for a moment, almost as if time itself wanted to witness what was written on the final page. Your soulmate took a slow breath before reading the first line. They had searched for facts, but what they were about to discover would answer a question they had never even thought to ask. Wait until the end of this chapter, because the greatest turning point is only beginning to unfold. The sealed page contained no dramatic accusations. No hidden scandals. No unexpected twists about your past. Instead, it began with a simple observation from the investigator. The greatest mystery was never what this person was hiding. The greatest mystery was why so many lives were quietly changed after crossing their path. Your soulmate read that sentence again. Then again. The investigation had started with the hope of uncovering secrets. Instead, it revealed something far more valuable. The investigator explained that every interview, every conversation, and every detail pointed toward the same conclusion. You were not defined by the moments everyone could see. You were defined by the choices almost nobody noticed. That realization completely transformed the purpose of the investigation. For the first time, your soulmate understood why every attempt to place you into a simple category had failed. You were never just one chapter. You were a story still being written, and every challenge had quietly shaped qualities that could not be seen from the outside. But then came another sentence. One that made your soulmate slowly lower the report. This person consistently moves toward growth, even after disappointment. That pattern is rare. Those words echoed in the silence. Your soulmate thought back to every conversation they had imagined having with you. Every unanswered question. Every uncertainty that once felt overwhelming. Suddenly, those doubts seemed much smaller than they had before. Because the investigation had uncovered something unexpected. Not perfection. Potential. And there is an enormous difference between the two. Stay with me a little longer, because the story is about to reveal why this discovery mattered more than anything else. The investigator included one final summary before closing the report. People often search for impressive appearances. Very few recognize lasting character. After completing this investigation, I believe the greatest discovery wasn't hidden information, it was hidden consistency. Those words remained in your soulmate's mind long after the folder was closed. They realized something extraordinary. The answers they had been searching for were never locked away behind impossible mysteries. They had always been quietly present in ordinary decisions, patient moments, and unseen acts that slowly built the foundation of your story. That understanding changed the way they looked toward the future. Instead of wondering whether destiny could bring two paths together, they began asking a completely different question. If someone has quietly become this remarkable without seeking attention, what kind of future could they create? That question stayed with them. It followed them into every quiet moment. It became impossible to ignore. And perhaps that is the greatest surprise of all. The investigation that was meant to expose hidden secrets ended up revealing hidden value instead. It didn't create trust, it uncovered reasons for trust that had been there all along. If this journey has spoken to you in some way, I'd love to hear which moment stood out most. And if you'd like to continue exploring stories filled with mystery, purpose, and unexpected discoveries, subscribing is simply a way to make sure we meet again for the next chapter. Because this story doesn't truly end here. The report has been closed. The questions have been answered. But now a new chapter begins, one where curiosity has been replaced by understanding, uncertainty by clarity, and distant possibilities by a future waiting to be written. Sometimes the greatest discovery isn't learning someone else's secret. Sometimes it's realizing they were quietly becoming exactly who they were meant to be, all along. A quiet sunrise arrived, yet your soulmate couldn't stop thinking about everything the investigation had revealed. The report was finished, but something inside them had only just begun. They realized that answers alone do not change a person, understanding does. Before you leave this story behind, stay until the final moments of this chapter, because one last discovery is about to bring every piece together. That evening, your soulmate opened the folder one final time. They weren't searching for new evidence anymore. Instead, they searched for one simple question. Why did this journey feel so personal? As they slowly turned each page, they noticed something they had overlooked before. The investigator hadn't only written observations about you. Hidden between the lines were reflections about the person reading the report. One note quietly said, "The one searching for truth often discovers their own heart in the process." Your soulmate froze. For the first time, they understood that the investigation had never been a test of your character. It had become a mirror. Every doubt they once carried had slowly transformed into admiration. Every unanswered question had become an invitation to trust. The search for certainty had unexpectedly become a journey of personal growth. Isn't that remarkable? Sometimes we believe we're trying to understand another person, only to discover we're learning who we are becoming. Stay with this thought for just a little longer. The investigator's closing message was unlike anything else in the report. If two paths continue pointing toward one another despite time, distance, and uncertainty, perhaps the greatest answer is not found in chasing more questions but in having the courage to walk forward with honesty. Those words echoed long after the folder was closed. Your soulmate smiled not because every mystery had been solved, but because they finally understood that not every meaningful connection needs endless proof. Some truths reveal themselves through patience, respect, and consistent actions over time. From that day forward, they stopped looking backward. Instead, they looked ahead. Not with unrealistic expectations. Not with perfect certainty. But with quiet confidence that authentic connections are built one choice at a time. And perhaps that's the hidden message this story was always leading toward. The greatest secret wasn't hidden in a file. It wasn't buried inside forgotten memories. It wasn't something waiting to shock the world. The greatest secret was that genuine character can never stay hidden forever. Eventually, kindness speaks. Integrity speaks. Patience speaks. And those silent qualities become louder than any rumor ever could. If this story stayed with you until this very moment, thank you for being part of the journey. Share it with someone who enjoys thoughtful stories, leave a comment telling us which revelation surprised you the most, and subscribe if you'd like to return for more cinematic journeys filled with mystery, hope, and meaningful discoveries. As your soulmate quietly placed the report back on the shelf, they whispered one final sentence to themselves. The answers I searched for were never meant to change my opinion, they were meant to change my perspective. And with that realization, they walked toward the future not carrying suspicion, but carrying understanding. Because sometimes, the most extraordinary ending isn't the moment every secret is uncovered. It's the moment two hearts finally stop searching for hidden truths and begin building a future on the truth they have already found.